result leads to more questions than answers. So we want to explore answers and also offer a few answers for if you have friends or loved ones or other people that are going through cancer, or you yourself are going through cancer. Let's talk about it from an insider's perspective. This podcast is about the modern cancer journey. There are so many different types of avenues now and experiences people are having. And what we want to do is mostly focus on exploring environmental cancers. Although, whether you have an environmental cancer, a lung cancer, any form of cancer, even if you don't always have cancer, you are all still in the same boat, which is the moment where the doctor tells you you have cancer. Luckily, I have friends that have just had scares and have not had to go through what I've been going through. I hope none of you do. The other part of our podcast that I really wanted to mention is that what's important is we want to look for cures. We want to look for Western, Eastern, holistic, alternative, standard. There's all kinds of interesting things to talk about. We're going to have an amazing array of guests like Dr. Gordon Klepper, who will talk about how the vegan diet can help us fight cancer, as well as other cancer advocates and fighters that are out there, including our good friend Stell Bailey, which hopefully we'll have her on here soon. She's been making amazing strides to do that. So we are going to try to speak to as many different people as we can about cancer. And for those that don't know, I am your host, Erik Crown. I was diagnosed with cancer in 2005. It's an environmental cancer. The doctors can't fully figure out how to treat it. And anyway, this for me is a very, very important journey, one that has been going on way too long, and one that I'm hoping can bring a sort of benefit now to the rest of the people that are going through this. So from Western to Eastern, from every corner of the globe, we want to discuss and investigate various approaches to curing my so far incurable rare environmental cancer. And that's the big problem for me, is since they can't really fully figure out what it is. I have been through radiation. I had radiation on my spine. I've had it on my head. I've been through multiple rounds of chemo, experimental chemo, different types of experimental drugs. I've had over a dozen surgeries, and I'm actually about to have another one soon. Don't know if you can really see it here, but this lump is the tumor. It's growing in my neck. So today, we're very excited to actually talk about I want to talk a little bit about my background with my cancer experience, but what we want to do is really discuss Cancer Alley and other environments that are being poisoned and other people that are going through this as well. So, this is sort of how we started and how we're ending up here. So, hey, Jared is here. Huh? Good to see you, man. Hey, Agnes. Nice to see you. Hey, Mike, thanks for joining. And Agnes has done a lot of work on environmental cancers and understands that we really don't have a voice yet. And this is one of the reasons for this podcast, is to help give environmental cancer a voice. A lot of people are going through it, and people that, weren't going through it before. A long time ago, when I was a kid, people that had cancers generally were older, and they were generally cancers that you had heard about. Lung cancers, prostate cancer. There's a lot of horrible, horrible cancers out there. And again, my heart goes out to anybody battling any type. But the problem is over the last 40 years or so, the cancer rates have just skyrocketed. And the majority of those are new environmental cancers. New environmental cancers they are studying. There are so many, and another reason we really want to do this show is they have recently come out with a number. This is very shocking. 1 in 2 men and 1 in 3 women will be diagnosed with cancer in their lifetime. So our intention here today, throughout this week, as we continue to talk about cancers, is to talk about how we can deal with them and how we can stop them. Because environmental cancers can be stopped. They are not natural. They don't come from the same sources that, say, a prostate cancer or a different type of cancer come from. So environmental cancers are a very weird thing. Ever since I was diagnosed in 2005, I've had doctors studying me. I've had a small group of doctors that have been investigating into my case, trying to find the best solutions. And, for me, it's been a long journey. Um, and I always try to have a very positive face. But, one of the things we're going to talk about during this journey is that it's not really, um, it's a horrible experience, is what it is. Anybody that has had cancer will tell you the exact same thing, but we generally can't say it to your face because when people ask how you're doing, it's such a loaded question. You really can't answer properly. And that's very isolating as well. So, what we're hoping to do is get a bigger community and a wider community to start talking about this. And I want everybody out there to know right now, if you're going through a cancer, reach out, talk to me, send a message, pop on the show here, pop on the next show, reach out to us. We do investigative documentaries about areas that cause environmental cancers. And we want to hear from you. We want to talk from you. We want you to know you're not alone. Isolation is one of the biggest problems of cancer. And as much as we want to talk with the people we love about it, only somebody that's had cancer can truly fully understand what people are going through. Now, that's the problem. But what is the upside? Well, people would say, well, there is no upside to cancer. On my personal journey, there was a great moment of realization that the white noise in life didn't matter, that today matters. Now, a lot of people say to me, yeah, well, everybody knows that. Anybody could get hit by a bus tomorrow. Absolutely. Nobody knows how long we're here for. But the difference is when you have cancer, if you have the ability to go out into the world, you're going to live like it's your last day every day. And that doesn't mean you're going to go out and just break all the rules and be crazy. It means that you want to have something that you're doing. When I was diagnosed, I was working in Hollywood. I had moved out to Hollywood. I had no inclination I would have cancer whatsoever. By 2005, my tumor was about maybe about this big, and it was black, and it was on my tailbone, and I couldn't see it. I'd been surfing quite a bit. Somebody else saw it and said, "You need to go to the doctor." So that's one of the first things is when you have cancer, there's when you started to get it and when it got diagnosed. And those are very important differences because you're going to need to get an idea of what was happening. And I just thought, cancer, wow, I have had family members that have had cancers in the past, and I was worried about that. So I went to the doctor, and it turns out that they just weren't sure what it was. And they took it out, and it keeps coming back. And I used to just have it on my tailbone. Now I have it in my head, my neck, and they found some new nodules in my lungs. So cancer is a big mystery. For me, it gave me the gift of wanting to do something positive with the world. So I pretty much gave up my job, went out to work with Earth Race Conservation, went to the Amazon, started traveling around the world from there, trying to help any way that I could until I realized that my upbringing had been in movies. And the background that I wanted to do was to try to give information about what's making us sick because nobody is out there investigating what's making us sick. The people that get the money for research, they study standardized standardized cancers. No, not that there's such a thing, but I mean, like say a lung cancer or a prostate cancer, a brain cancer. There's all these different types of cancers that come from different areas. Now, the studies into environmental cancer are very low, if they even exist, because the companies that are creating the pollution and the cancer certainly don't want this information out. They certainly don't want to have to pay out a bunch of lawsuits. Excuse me. And they certainly don't want to be responsible. So we are fighting a huge enemy just to be seen. We're tired of being invisible. Environmental cancers do exist. We have them. There's a lot of people that have hybrid cancers they can't fully even explain. And we want to be heard and we want to be seen. And we want everybody to know that not it's not a one size fits all. Cancer is not. Cancer comes in many forms. It manifests in many ways. Some people like myself, I have a massive tumor on my tailbone. Every time I fly, I am in tremendous pain. Um, and how do I deal with it? Well, I want to go somewhere and I want to go do something, and that outweighs the pain that I endure for it. It'll never go away. So that's just my day to day. So what can I do? Sit around or do something about it? Literally, my tailbone says you're not allowed to sit around. You have to go do something. So it's all at a cost. But the gift of cancer is that it became a sharpening stone for my soul that made me want to be the best person I could be and just try to do something good for the world before I leave. We live in a very golden time. Everybody complains and is worried about climate change, a lot of other things happening. There is a lot of destruction going on to our environment. Sierra and I have seen this around the world. But the beauty of it is there's also a lot of solutions going on. So we have to really look at the hope spots and the positivity. And we have to remember that everything can change and everything is worth changing. And right now, if you're alive, from sharing a post to going out in the field, you can help save the world because we live in a very golden time right now where we have the opportunity. Everything we do, good or bad, has an impact on the environment around us. The environment that gave me and many other people cancer. So, how everybody treats the environment is a vested interest in all of us as well. And again, one in two and one in three, this is a big problem. Think about your dinner table. Think about how many people are sitting there and think about how many of them are going to get cancer. So, this is why we do this. This is why we are out here. There is not a lot of money in this. The very first movie that we worked on was Phosfate, and there's with some of the DVDs the studio sent. Um, Phosphate was an amazing experience because I got to meet some of the most incredible activists down in Florida that are fighting a huge mining corporation, and they are winning. And this is again the resiliency of spirit. But I did a fundraiser for it. I think I raised about $800, and that's what I had. So I went out and made it happen. Lived in a trailer that had no heat, had no running water, was kind of hidden from everybody. Somebody let me stay there, which was very nice of them. Had security chasing me. Had all kinds of terrible things going on. Had water activists threatening me because people like to raise money on their stories. And when, like, I don't, I raised money for a movie. We're not an NGO. Humanimal Pictures is not an NGO. We're a production company. And we want to go out and investigate these things. So with around $1,000, we were managed to make Phosphate, which, just so everybody knows, it costs a lot more in the end to put the movie out. It's never made a dollar. That's not the point of the movie. The point of the movie is to get these voices that the standardized press ignores out in public and stop more environmental cancers. Stop more environmental cancers. That's why today matters. Today matters because what we do today is what will be talked about tomorrow and what we can do tomorrow. And that leads us to our next movie. We did Phosphate. We worked on Harambe, which was an amazingly beautiful experience. Then we went down and we wanted to talk about Cancer Alley. Now, the original idea is we were going to paddleboard down the Mississippi. We were going to try to get some sponsors, try to make it a big event, and it just kind of fizzled out. People don't really want to talk about it. It's difficult to get people to talk about cancer. And I don't know why, because it's so prevalent. Again, one in two or one in three, no matter which of those numbers you believe, the odds are terrible for everybody. Um, so Cancer Alley came around, and we saw the opportunity to go down and to see a new form of environmental poisoning that's insane. I just wanted to share a couple images from the movie. We're going to talk more about the movie later. The movie has been shot. We are on our process now to finish editing it. This is an old graveyard inside of a petrochemical facility. It's just that it's cordoned off. They've built the whole petrochemical facility around it. These people are being poisoned like crazy. Behind us, this is in the car, and we'll show you guys more of this. That red that you see is actually mercury dust and is highly toxic and cancerous, and it clings everything there. And when we got there, we just couldn't believe the poisoning we saw. Hey, Candy, nice to see you on here. Candy says nobody wants to identify the sources. Absolutely. It is a lawsuit waiting to happen. It is amazing to me that we can know that this company produces this chemical as a byproduct. This chemical, if you were just researching it totally differently, this chemical is known to cause cancer. Then you have the people that are getting the cancer from the chemical, from the company, but legally, because nobody wants to pay out or be responsible, none of these dots are connected. And the dots, the problem we have right here, the dots right there are the doctors that are very often at threat and unable to participate. In Phosfate, they were terrified to speak to us. Nobody would. And as a result, we're not able to, if we can through our residents and through the people that we meet, we know that A, B, and C are all connected. Now, B and C are the challenges, and it's a challenge to get environmental cancers and cancer clusters established and discussed. We'll go into that in another show. We're going to talk about cancer clusters in another show. But trust me, it is really difficult. The system is not set up to help cancer patients. It is set up to profit off of them in a variety of ways, whether it's exploiting us. Some of the pills that I was supposed to be on that were chemo pills were over $10,000 a month, which they obviously nobody can pay that. So the insurance pays it, but it's absurd. And treatment is out of the realm. Candy says, my mom died 2 months after finding out she had cancer. I'm so sorry, Candy. I'm certain it was from phosphate mining pollution. Yeah, I'm seeing what I've seen down there. And again, everybody, if you haven't seen Phosfate, please check it out. It is free. It's on Tubi, and you might just recognize your own backyard in the stories you hear from this movie, because phosphate's not an isolated thing. Cancer Alley is not an isolated thing. This is an international problem of poisoning communities that they think won't fight back. But boy, they get that wrong, especially in Florida and especially in New Orleans, where we found some of the most amazing, resilient, and powerful people that are changing the way cancer is being dealt with, and the way that sorry, it seems like very dramatic lighting going on there. We have a storm coming through, so it's a little on and off. And Agnes says yes, and Agnes knows this. Agnes saw this very firsthand. And I met Agnes at a rally in DC, where we were asking the EPA to do their job and to start regulating the chemicals that are dangerous. You would be shocked how many chemicals that are known to cause cancer are allowed to enter into our day-to-day life. It's frightening. It's frightening. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. And once you know it, you can't unknow it. And that's what we find around the world with activists we meet everywhere. Garrett Ramey, Garrett, hey man, so glad you're on here. Garrett is an incredible activist that has been fighting against mosaic mining. You can check out his story in Phosfate. And he says, what are we doing to protect the employees? Exactly. Can OSHA be notified with a complaint on behalf of the employees? That is a great question. When it comes to the employees, you got to think about it. They're on these concentrated source. They're there every day, and a lot of them get so sick. As a matter of fact, somebody in our first movie, Gary Pittman, he managed to bring one of the first lawsuits against a mining company for the workers to make it known that this actually does affect the people that work there. But that's the workers that they care about. Imagine like the migrant workers that come in that are working agriculture, that are around like Mosaic's fertilizer. they're having a lot higher rates of birth defects, cancer, and other things as well in areas like Florida, an all agricultural spot. Um, and Garrett says, "Look at our food. Commercial farming is toxic." Absolutely. Hey, Sierra, good to see you on here. And everybody, Sierra is my partner in life and my partner in movies. She has gone through a lot of my most recent cancer issues. From us being way up high in the Andes Mountains in Colombia to work on a piece about Escobar's hippos. And I was just sick the entire ride. We had to stop. I had to throw up. Traveling with cancer is not easy. And I do see a lot of comments where people say, oh, he doesn't seem sick. Well, all I can say about that is my desire to make a change is stronger than my desire to be a permanent patient. Right now, I can be out in the world, and that's where I'm going to be because that's where I need to be, and that's what I want to do. I want to make a change. And I want to illuminate what's happening because I don't want another case like mine. I don't want another person getting environmental cancers. And everybody on this podcast and everybody listening to this podcast knows that if a company is poisoning us with a chemical, if that chemical is no longer introduced into your environment, environmental cancers will not happen. It's that simple. That's why we're out here doing this. Um, and it's there's a lot going on. There's a lot we don't show behind the scenes. There's a great John Prine line that says, photographs show the laughs recorded in between the sad times, happy sailors dancing on a sinking ship. So we don't share a lot of the painful stuff, but this is not just me and my cancer journey. This is everyone that has cancer. Everyone that has cancer is having a hard time waking up today. They're having a hard time thinking, I want to be alive today. They're having a hard time thinking, what am I going to eat for dinner? They're having a hard time with the pain in their bones, the pain. It's a battle in your body. You feel the cancer growing. You know there's something wrong. When you got your chemo, it's battling that cancer and it is painful. Painful. Even right now, my radiation supposedly is shrinking some of the one on my tumor. It doesn't feel like that. There's very painful battle going on. But we don't want to always share that because we're trained to hide it. And we need to unmask that. We need to show the truth, pain, the reality of what happens. Agnes says we need to see the painful stuff. And Agnes, I agree. And Sierra and I have been talking about it a lot. And I had cancer for so many years, about 9 years actually, before I ever mentioned it publicly. I started going through surgeries in 2005. My first surgery, actually, I couldn't walk for 6 months afterwards. I was stuck in bed, and I watched Whale Wars, and that's what made me go, "Whoa, I think I want to do that with my life. I want to do something like that." So my downtime is there, and that also creates the gift of today because right now, for example, I have to go get this surgery coming up. So I know that I live life between stitches. I live life between treatments. Um, and there will be a day where I can't go back out and do things I like to do, like surf and dive and everything. So what matters is my time between my stitches. Because once I get cut, it'd be like 6 months to a year before I can go do anything again. So, it's a lot of time that we spend between our treatments. And those are our critical moments. That's where a lot goes on. It goes on in our minds and our bodies. So there's a lot happening when you look at somebody like me that doesn't have eyebrows, just know that they're going through something. Um, and they may not be able to talk about it. They may not want to talk about it. They may be ashamed to talk about it. I felt ashamed to talk about it. So that's why I didn't talk about it until Pete Bethune made me talk about it on his podcast. And I'd never publicly spoken about it. And then all of a sudden, people that had cancer, had families going through cancer, were reaching out to me. And I found there was a tremendous healing that can happen when all of us that are going through this type of trauma together can know that each other are there. One of my great friends is Stella Bailey, and she has done tremendous work for cancer. And she's an incredible cancer advocate. cancer survivor. And that is one of the great things that this challenging problem has created a community that none of us figured we even wanted to be in. But through it, you find some amazing, genuine people and some people that really are out to change the world. So remember, you know, today's the day. Don't get cancer to know that. I'm sure a lot of people already know that. But for me, cancer has been a curse, but more than that, it's been a gift. And it's been a gift of knowing that today matters and how you are that day. Everybody, we need a little bit more kindness. We need a little bit more love. And we need to take care of each other. We cannot let companies poison us for their profits anymore. We're all family. And we need to start acting that way. Forget about all these divisions. We are all people that don't want to get cancer. That's what you could say about everybody on this planet. So why don't we start there and move forward together, like a potato sack race, right? We all have to coordinate so we can walk forward. Hey, Stacy, nice to see you. It's always great having you there. Thank you. No shame in having cancer. It is a weird thing. Um, you know, I don't know why, but yeah, people that have it, first thought is, what did I do? Like, why this happened to me? And it is a thought that they have. And again, we'll talk more about this because we want to talk about how family interacts. I just recently was with a family member that is going through chemo treatments right now. And it was my first time having a family member with cancer. Um, when I have cancer, I don't think about my cancer. I'm just like, I'll be fine. I'm doing my thing, whatever. I can't live as a cancer patient in my mind. Um, but to see my relative have it really hurt me. Um, and I hope that your family's members do not have it. And I hope that we can all unify, make our voice heard. Like elections are a great time for this. All this stuff aside, the only thing I care about is a clean environment for the animals, for the earth, and for us and our future. Thank you, Sierra. Um, well, that's the beauty of it, right? The world is amazing. The world is inspirational. Let's get talking to each other again. Let's get connected again because this is the only way we're going to solve it together. So thank you all from somebody that has been battling it for a long time that never figured anyone cared. It means the world to see so much support for this topic and to see so much outpouring of love. And again, if you're going through cancer, please let us know you have a friend here. We care and we want to talk to you. And if you have a relative that's going through cancer, reach out to us. Anything we can do to help anybody because the world's not really set up to help us. We have to help each other. So thank you everybody for joining in. Cancers. We are going to try to find answers about cancer. Since my cancer is weird, we want to try a bunch of different ideas. So I'd love to ask everybody right now, what have you heard that works? What type of ideas do you have for me? What can help me cure my cancer? I'm open to every suggestion possible. Until then, everybody remember that a lot of these cancers we don't have a choice in. And I want to bring this back really quick to Cancer Alley. We are doing the movie right now. I think if we can put up a link, we're going to be starting an Indiegogo to finish it out soon. But Cancer Alley, I wanted to show you guys this. This is a park bench, and behind it is an oil refinery. This is in a place called Norco, Louisiana, in a place called Good Hope Park. There were no children at this park, but there was a lot of pollution. Now, that little fence is supposed to stop everybody that goes to that park from getting cancer. So, this world we live in doesn't even make any sense. This is with our friend Travis London, an amazing cancer advocate who has been through a lot of family, losing a lot of family members in Cancer Alley, New Orleans. Cancer Alley, if you don't know, is the stretch of the Mississippi between New Orleans and Baton Rouge. It's about 85 miles long and it has around 150 petrochemical companies. and the highest rates of cancer in the nation. And not only that, they grow most of our sugar. And there's Sierra down in the sugar field. Um, and in the sugarcane itself, there are a lot of agricultural poisoning issues that we're going to talk about, including the use of Agent Orange to help ripen the sugar faster. And over 20% of the sugar comes from Louisiana. So if your sugar is coming from Louisiana, there is a chance that you're eating something that has been treated with Agent Orange, aka Roundup, aka a few of the other chemicals. Anyway, there are too many chemicals out there, and too many towns are being poisoned and being systemically destroyed. We've seen towns that exist now with one or two houses left, where everybody's died of cancer in New Orleans. It's one of the most tragic places that we've been around. We got so sick shooting Cancer Alley down there that we were, I want to say, for about 3 to 4 weeks, I felt like I had a flu. It was terrible. When you go to these places, you get so poisoned by the elements, and you really gain an appreciation for what everybody else is going through. It's there. So please, everybody, remember, we're going to be doing this series. There's so much more to talk about that I'm excited to talk to everybody about. Take any kind of questions we can take as well. We want to talk about cancer. We want to talk about answers. We want to talk about ways. Yes, and curing. Some people have talked about curing cancer through juicing. Now, actually, cancer made me go vegan in 2013. Yeah, 2013. Quite a few years after I had it. And it had an amazing effect, but we'll save that for another show. Definitely want to talk about that. Sierra was talking about glyphosate, which is what they use, which was Roundup, which also was used as Agent Orange, leftover Agent Orange, the best herbicide out there, evidently. And thank you, Agnes. I know that you do, and I know that the world does. And we have to remember to let everybody that lives in these areas that are being poisoned by these companies, let them know that we hear them also. We hear the patients, we hear the future patients, we hear the victims, we hear the future victims, we hear the residents that know the truth, what's happening on the ground. And they may have some answers about our cancers. So more conversation and more listening. We're going to get further. Hey, Vicky, good morning. Nice to see you. Thank you, everybody, for joining. I can't wait to see you tomorrow. There are so many more topics to delve into. And I would love to see, again, everybody's comments. Have you heard about a great cure for cancer? Is there a topic you want to talk about regarding cancer as well? Because we'd love to talk about everything that everybody wants to do here. So thank you, everybody, for paying attention. Remember, Cancer Alley is going to be coming up soon. It's the second of our cancer, environmental pollution-based cancer documentaries, Phosfate being the first, Cancer Alley being the second. We have the third already in production. But Cancer Alley is an incredible example of what happens when people are left abandoned and companies are left to control everything. And there's Cancer Alley down there. We're going to be putting a link up soon for it. We are working on our final push. We're going to have it out by the end of the year. And we do need everybody's support to get this movie out, to make these topics happen. Because just like the companies don't want to pay for the studies, companies that promote entertainment and TV do not want to go against the people that are poisoning us either. So there it is at the bottom there. Please, in the comments, check it out. Come join us, Cancer Alley movie. We're very excited to tell this story. We're excited to give more of a voice to those of us with environmental cancers, and we're excited to have a seat at the table and finally be listened to. So thanks, everybody, for being here. It means a lot. You guys have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow. Definitely looking forward to another discussion. My favorite part of the day